Hey Craig, can you make me one of those hub burgers with 2-stroke sauce? All set, sir. Who could that be at this hour? JDM witnesses? That car in your driveway is my dream car. I was just serving myself some breakfast. Could you take a picture of me in it? It's actually my car in Mario Kart.
Here's a challenge. Think of the most iconic JDM of all time and what comes to mind. So many JDMs are so niche that few would recognize them and fewer would appreciate. But there is one Trans-Pacific Leviathan that turned 20 years old this year that for many epitomizes all that is JDM and what we love about them. It is with great pleasure, kind of sweaty palms, maybe some jitters, and definitely a lot of caution behind the wheel that I present to you, dear viewer, a R34 V-spec in the unblemished, unmolested, oh so slightly faded plastics factory flesh. This Skyline represents a bunch of firsts for me, and I'll give you a quick rundown. When this guy arrived, I had to up my insurance liability for the first time in 10 years. I also had to hunt down secret, secure storage while it waited for its new owner to pick it up. Unloading was the first time I'd used a tilt loader on my own. Also, it was the first time I'd stacked cars double high onto a tilt loader. In hindsight, that might have been a fairly stupid first. It was the first time in years I've been really consciously worried about other people on the road being distracted. And it was the first time since I was 16 I was genuinely a little nervous behind the wheel. So with that being said, let's jump in and I'll show you what I mean. The R34 is incredible. It's recognizable. Guys have oystered themselves over it for 2 decades now. If you have a 6-figure budget for a car and figure you don't spend enough of your time fielding photo requests from strangers, being regaled by other people's exploits in your car on video game format, or chasing the social media spotted paparazzi out of your driveway, an R34 will definitely fill a hole in your life. How many cars in the world have such broad appeal? Not many cars get acknowledgement across all segments of age, gender, or auto enthusiasm levels, but driving an R34 GT-R will make you think you're some kind of celebrity, just from the number of thumbs up and phones raised, happy waves, and enthusiastic conversation seekers. In 1999, Nissan was in dire straits. A lopsided alliance was formed with Renault, and this man, with much fanfare and adulation, was credited with rescuing the brand from financial collapse. Carlos's leadership coincides with the year this particular car went on sale, this first-year production 1999 R34 V-spec. As a footnote, Carlos is out of jail now, but wears an ankle bracelet. Real neat story there. The R34 has great pedigree, a good heart, nice teeth, all the things you look for when you're buying powerful horses for competition. It comes from good stock. Its grandfather was known as Godzilla. Its father took a bit of a step back from the game and bulked up, but the R34 generation was smaller, more nimble, and better equipped. The RB26 DETT by 99 had been around for a decade. Tweaks were made over the years, and 99 brought a shiny new valve cover. Turbos still had a ceramic exhaust wheel, though upgraded to a ball bearing from older journals for a faster spool. Horsepower is debatable. A bone stock, completely original car like this was supposedly governed to 276 brake horsepower at 6,800 RPM, with torque at 289 foot-pounds at 4,400 RPM. Mashing the accelerator, you do get some slight boost lag while the car starts to pick up, but boost seems to build really quickly, and acceleration keeps coming on until the end of the rev range. It's got a ton of grunt behind it, and the feeling of steady, smoothly increasing acceleration is unlike any other twin turbos I've driven from the era. It's really impressive, really fun, and absolutely feels like more than 276 horsepower. 0 to 100 is around 4.6 seconds, though I didn't try to replicate that. Handling is extraordinary. This car, on its gorgeous stock 18-inch alloys, double wishbone suspension front and rear, active rear LSD in the V-spec, G-sensors in the armrest helping to decide how much torque to put forward through the Atessa Advanced Total Traction Engineering System for All-Terrain ETS Pro, or split back in either direction to the rear wheels via the active LSD, combined with the Heika's rear wheel steer that will help control in and out of corners, the GT-R is the most composed 20-year-old car you'll ever drive. There are some differences between the base model GT-R and this Victory spec, including this large rear carbon fiber diffuser, the ALSD and Atessa ETS Pro, ventilated brake cooling air guides, and more sensor readouts on the dash screen, as well as slightly lower, stiffer suspension. Inside, the R34 GT-R generation went from being a bit of a single-purpose Godzilla made to eat other cars on the track in the R32, to something that you could comfortably wait out a traffic jam in while basking in the adulation of other motorists. The seats are gorgeous with nice material, excellent ergonomics. The dash has a ton of information crammed into a visually pleasing layout, and was way ahead of its time. The screen, for example, is loaded with information like EGT and boost, and there's a timer. Or it can function as a TV or visuals for your AV. While modern cars might sync with your phone nicely, inviting you to putter around and do other things other than driving, the GT-R puts the driver in sync with the car, letting you know how it's performing. It demands focus, and it's a driving pleasure. The few times I drove this car, there was a constant nagging voice in the back of my head reminding me not to enjoy myself too much.
Go easy, Craig. You can't afford to replace it. Don't forget what this thing is worth. Let's put this back in the underground. It's not worth it.
人に翼を。スカイライン GT-R 誕生。車の喜びを日産です。
In '99, the GT-R V-spec went on sale for 5,598,000 yen, or about 600,000 yen above the base GT-R price. Midnight Purple models retailed for another 200,000 yen above the other colors, and the N1 another couple hundred above the V-spec. The V-spec MSRP in today's Canadian dollars is 106 grand with inflation. For a time, up to about 5 years ago, these R34s could be had for just a couple million yen. Those days are long gone though, and in the last few years, prices have tripled or quadrupled. It's now pretty tough to find a nice one for under the six-figure mark. They are seeing a meteoric rise in value. The R34 was right at the cusp of two different eras in track cars and GT cars. Companies were switching over to faster paddle shift F1-inspired transmissions, launch control settings, and more computer interference with more horsepower than the average person needs. The R34 was an over-engineered, detuned platform capable of much more, and the RB26 is, 30 years on, still one of the greatest modification engines ripe for upgrades with its cast-iron block, individual throttle bodies, proclivity for more power, and no shortage of companies supplying products for gains. It's perhaps one of the last great tuner cars to come out of the JDM 90s, the last Skyline GT-R, and one of the only cars in the world that's so universally admired despite extremely limited availability. The final Skyline GT-R before Renault took the reins. For a lot of us, the R34 will remain a dream car, with prices on their current trajectory. But if you're thinking you need one, act soon. Once the US market can legally bring these ashore, I fully expect prices will jump again. A big shout out to my buddies Justin and Eric for helping me to film. Justin's R32 appeared alongside the R34 in a few shots. And to my brother for shooting in the Skyline's secret underground lair. I hope you guys enjoyed this look at the R34. Thank you very much for watching.